Well, they closed down the mill and they closed down the mine. They said you can't work but pay your taxes on time. Got 3 little babies gonna starve to death or freeze. We started making white lightning, it was Grandpa's recipe. Run, rebel, run, run to no avail. Run, rebel, run to the Scott County Jail.
Hey everybody, happy Thursday night. We are back here on the Jailhouse Informant video podcast. I'm your host, Miranda, and
hey everybody, I'm Christy. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are so excited. We have celebrities in our midst tonight. We're so excited. We're going to be talking to them about what they did here at the jail and their TV series. But we couldn't be more happy to have these guys on the show tonight. But just a couple of housekeeping things before we get started. We don't want to keep them waiting too long. We have got a lot coming up for September and October. We've got tours lined up, paranormal investigations, our ghost walks. We're bringing back the Ghost of the Past walk. So that's all going to take place here in Huntsville. We've got tours opening at Rugby again, the flashlight tours, both the village tour and the cemetery tour, guided ghost hunts, paranormal investigations. So yeah, a lot going on.
Yeah. And so, we've had a lot of people that have reached out to us about our ghost walk that we do here in Huntsville. And so during the month of September, you will be able, one night a week, we will be having our Ghosts of the Past Haunted History Walk, which covers 45-minute walk here in downtown Huntsville and then ends with an hour and 15-minute walk of or actually more like an hour and a half, something like that, flashlight tour of the jail. It's basically our flashlight tour with the added walk on the front. And then we'll also have 2 flashlight tours a week there during the month of September. And then, of course, getting on into October, we're going to kind of change that around. We're trying to, because, we're 2 people and we have so many things going on. If we have a paranormal investigation book that night, don't fear. We've switched it to where you can take a flashlight tour by doing a time change before the paranormal investigation. Mm-hmm. So just look at our calendar because everything is on there. I got all of that uploaded today. So through October, actually, I think I've got them through November. Yeah. So also we're doing something very special for September, trying it out in September. And if it works out well, we're going to do it in October. But we're actually adding an hour to the investigations during the month of September. So you'll be able to come in and be here from 8:30 until 4 a.m. I know when we did that in January and February, it was pretty successful. People got that 3 a.m. hour. So for the traditional price that we have for those overnights, you'll be able to add an extra hour during the month of September. And if you've already booked your investigation during the month of September, we've already added.
You get an extra hour.
Yeah. So check that out. We hope you will plan to join us for an investigation, guided ghost hunt. We may try to do something kind of special with guided ghost hunts. We kind of talked about that too. I mean, who needs free time and who needs sleep, when you can just overload your schedules? I mean, it's spooky season. It's time to celebrate.
Yes, absolutely. So again, come out and enjoy that extra hour of paranormal investigations. And also festivals. We have booked several festivals that we will be attending. We will be, our next one will be at the Haunting of the Hills on September 21st. We've got the Heritage Festival coming up here in Scott County, the 28th. We'll be appearing at the Allard Pumpkin Festival in October, as well as October Skies Festival there in Morgan County will be there as well. So if you're out and about on any of these days and you're in the area, stop by and see us. We'll have information about the jail, about historic rugby after dark, about Ghost Biker Exploration, Soul Sisters Paranormal. So just come out and talk to us. We would love to see you, but just check that event page for all of the appearances that we'll be making at all of those different festivals.
Yeah, I mean, fall just screams festival. And, you know, and we'll also be signing people up on those days. So it's like, come out and we'll have our full calendar there. We'll be able to book you for either an investigation or for one of our tours at our different locations. That's the cool part about it, because people can just come right in and sign up that day for a tour that night.
Mm-hmm.
If we have a tour available that night,
Right.
Because I think some of these are going to book up pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that's coming up that we definitely want to make sure to mention. Let me get my screen here.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. A lot of you have maybe seen the ad there in the newspaper, and we're going to kind of be talking about this a little. This will transition us well into our topic that we're going to be talking about tonight. But next Saturday, September 7th, you need to come out. We're going to have author J.H. Gason here at the jail. He's going to be doing a book signing and a meet and greet from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern. And what's really cool about this, I know a lot of you have purchased this book, and a lot of you have read it and heard our podcasts on it and seen different stories on this. But this is a second edition re-release that's got some really cool features in it. I know I'm really excited about the maps to the locations that are highlighted in this book, as well as the cemeteries where some of these folks are buried at. I mean, Gason did an amazing job with the re-release of this book. So we're really excited to have him back out here on Saturday, September 7th. So you'll be able to come in with the purchase of a general admission ticket here to the jail. You'll be able to come in and you can sit down and spend all day with him, because he will.
He loved to talk.
He loves to talk. He would gladly do that. So so come check that out, because that is probably, it's only one of the stories that makes up the history here at the jail, but it is a very important one. And it's one that it kind of sets the stage and also ends, you know, the mob lynchings and stuff that we had here.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But to your point, that does segue into our guest. We are very excited tonight because
before you do that, one thing I want to mention here. let me pull it up.
Pausing.
I want to make sure to mention, because, you know, that is a good segue into our guest, but that's my fault for not pulling this up first. I mean, who doesn't want to talk about food for just a second? I mean, and we, being a small business here in Scott County, we love supporting other small businesses. And we've talked about this little location here, the Cowgirl Cafe. I had their amazing grilled pimento cheese on Texas toast and onion straws. Thank you. It was so good. I forgot what I was going to say, but shut your mouth good. But anyways, it's so good. And, you know, definitely go out if you're here in the area doing an investigation, or if you're just a Scott County native, you need to definitely go check out their food, because, again, we like supporting small businesses here in the area and letting people know of good places to eat and cool things to do when you're in the area. Yep. You got to do it when you're a small rural town.
Yep. So Cowgirl Cafe, check them out. Tell them that we sent you. What's interesting is the owner, she actually used to be a deputy here in the jail. She has a lot of haunting stories about her time when the jail was in operation, some of the things that she witnessed as well here that she can't explain.
Yeah.
But now segueing into our very special guest, we're really excited because Saturday, the episode featuring the historic Scott County Jail will be featured on Haunted Discoveries. This is just a great team, a great group of investigators, great group of people in general. And we are very fortunate that they decided to highlight the jail in this episode or this season of Haunted Discoveries. So please let's welcome Kevin and Brandon from Haunted Discoveries. Hey guys.
Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We are so super excited. One, to be speaking with y'all tonight, and then two, to be highlighted on Saturday in the Haunted Discovery series. We've been binging every time one comes out. It's like, all right, let's get some dinner and head over and watch Sling, and get on there and watch these episodes. We're so proud of what you guys have done. The episodes have just been stellar. The history, the editing, the cinematography, they've just been tremendous. So, kudos for what you guys are doing with Haunted Discoveries.
Yeah. Yeah. And just, I can't say enough good things about you guys. So it really is an honor to be highlighted on a show with such class acts, as far as investigators and putting the episodes together.
Mm-hmm.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, I want to say first and foremost, that intro you guys have to the show is awesome, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, that's so cool, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's Bethi Lewis and the Electric Pineapple. She has family from here, and so she wrote a song about it. And we thought, what better way to highlight her talents and stuff as to use that for our intro for our show. So put a video together with it, and here we go. So thank you, Brandon.
Yeah. Love it. It's awesome. A lot of fun. It sets the tone perfectly. I love it.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate that. So let's talk a little bit, why don't we, for those who aren't familiar or haven't watched any of the episodes yet, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Haunted Discoveries is and how you guys got started and what you're doing?
I'll let Kevin start first.
Yeah, so I'm actually moved here to Kentucky from LA in 2018. Started working in production here. And, was pitching stuff here and there. And, Brandon had just come out with his documentary Cemetery Park that had won some awards and stuff like that. And so I took it to our company and said, hey, I got a friend that does this. I know you want to do something paranormal. Why don't you let us take a shot at it? And took a little bit, and they finally agreed. And, got with Brandon and Mustafa, and we started putting stuff together, and hence it was born.
That was a lot of fun. Mustafa and I met on Ghost Hunters. I've known Kevin for, over a decade now, right, Kevin? Gosh, we met in LA.
2011, I think.
Yeah, it's been a while. And so after doing Ghost Hunters, we were looking at something to do, and Kevin was fresh living in Kentucky, and he was like, guys, you will not believe the amount of haunted places that are here. You will not believe all the crazy stuff going on. So we went out and we started trying to find a place to actually acquire as a research facility, which you guys are doing basically. You guys have the setup over there. And so it's been a really cool experience to come out to Kentucky and investigate. So it's been awesome.
Yeah. And like I said, the places that you've been highlighting have been really amazing places. And they're not, some of them are well known, like Brushy Mountain, but you've got these others that aren't particularly well known in the paranormal scene, if you will. And I love that. I love the fact that you guys really highlight the history. There's some shows that just kind of have one or two sound bites from the historical perspective and then move on right into the investigation. But y'all spend a tremendous amount of time going through the historical narratives of these locations. And I think that's what I really appreciate with what you're doing with this.
Yeah, and some of the places we've been, we've debunked a lot of the myths that go along with the places. And that's kind of been a big thing as well. I think if you go in and you start like misrepresenting the place, I don't think you get quite the activity either.
Correct.
I think whatever's there really appreciates when you actually go in and tell the truth about stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And, I think that, his history comes first and foremost, right? That's why we're going to these places, and histories and hauntings go hand in hand. And a lot of times, like you guys know, with the programs you run, there's a lot of times people will come to a place because of the paranormal when they're not really interested in the history, but by doing the paranormal, they're learning about the history. So I think that's important to highlight in a show, especially at the paranormal genre, is it's all about those that came before us and the history that laid the groundwork for where we are today and as a country or as humanity. So I think it's a really important part of the genre that really gets overlooked a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah. And with what you guys are doing, it really is a breath of fresh air, because you do see more. You don't see as much of the history in some of the other shows. And it's a common problem that I even hear whenever people are doing events and stuff. When we hold events, guided ghost hunts and things of that nature, we always make sure that there is time allotted in the beginning to tell that history, because how can you really go and investigate and really dive into a location if you don't know the history?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, like I said, that's what we really appreciate. Another thing that's really cool is the amount of research that you do with the equipment that you're bringing in. You know, a lot of what we see now is these YouTubers or these Instagrammers, if you will, TikTokers, going in, K2 meter and a flashlight, just running in there, screaming, looking around, trying to get this almost instant gratification type of feel, if you will, for their videos. But you guys are extremely methodical about going in, setting up the equipment, and really looking into, you know, the environmental factors that go into some of this as well. You know, I love the episode where Kevin goes in, he's got the little Kestrel weather data collecting device, and just those type of things are so unique in the paranormal community right now.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, you know, when we started the whole series, that we wanted to steer away from equipment that is used every day for paranormal and made for paranormal investigating. We wanted to use stuff outside of the box. We wanted to be able to correlate devices with other devices that's not made for paranormal research. And we've had great results with it.
Yeah.
Another element of the show that too, with the data collection process that doesn't necessarily get highlighted, is the fact that all of this information and these data points that we have collected with the Kestrel instruments or EDI pluses, and also the new device we'll be using in season 4, which is it's called a atmospheric phenomena logger, which is really cool. So we're taking all that data, time stamping it, correlating it, and we're hoping to one day be able to feed that into an AI system of some kind, or even just look at the spreadsheet across the board and say, hey, look, this day, this time, this barometric pressure, this temperature, this humidity, this moon phase, there was an event that took place. So the idea is, one day, can we possibly predict when something could happen? And that's something we've been really excited about. It doesn't really get highlighted on the show. Maybe it will one day, but being able to look at that data set and say, hey, look, something happened at this moment. Can we replicate it?
So really, I guess you could say your research is still kind of ongoing once the episode ends. I guess you're able to, because you are taking so much scientific data and atmospheric data, I would imagine you're able to go and look at these phenomena that's happening and compare it through all of your episodes, essentially having ongoing research.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's always been the ultimate goal, especially with APRA. And then, you know, just trying to understand what we're experiencing. And, you know, a place like Scott County Jail, and you guys being there all the time, I'm sure you guys notice patterns all the time with what's going on. So we're trying to correlate that on a scale of, can these particular data sets be happening all over the world or even the country? So, you know, that's the beauty of it all. And hopefully one day, you know, once we have enough information and the technology is where it needs to be, we can try and have, like, you know, storm chasers where they can predict when a tornado is going to hit, right? So it's like, can we use this ghost AI to say, hey, look, in Scott County at 11 p.m. Saturday, there possibly could be a supernatural event taking place. You know, that's the hopes.
Do you believe that if you're able to, say you're able to get to a point to predict this, do you think that will help us to better determine what this is that we're experiencing, whether it is a time slip, a dimension, or even a spirit ghost activity?
I hope so. And that's when, you know, Dr. Clor's expertise kind of comes into the fold in a way. And not only that, I mean, he owns an AI company, and he's, as you guys know, you've met him, he's just a brilliant guy. We're hoping to understand it, you know, but then you get into the metaphysical kind of woo-woo side of it, always next to you know. So I hope we can understand it, but if we can start to predict it and replicate it, that would be awesome. That would be really, really cool.
Well, there was one episode, and forgive me, the location name escapes me, but it was where the train kept going by, and Mustafa was like, you know, I think this is going to happen. The train's getting ready to come by. And I thought that was very intuitive, because, I mean, I know you guys are in the moment, and this is what you're trained to do and what you've been doing for years. But a lot of paranormal investigators don't think like that, right? It's not, oh, the train is coming by. It could be something that they don't even comprehend is even happening, because it's outside the realm of the location, if that makes sense. So to be able to actually say, okay, my environment is changing due to this in the moment, I thought it was really cool the way he picked up on that and the way y'all incorporated that into what you were looking for.
Yeah, that was at Grand Victorian.
Yeah, there it is.
And we've also had some good stuff, like our episode at Bethlehem Academy.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That was some interesting ones as well.
We actually were able to kind of almost predict that event happening, and we documented it at the time it happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And one thing we did notice, or have been in our research, is, like you mentioned, the train, right? There's always kind of been a common factor, or factors, I should say, with elements that surround a place that's said to have activity. It's always rivers, running water of some kind, train stations or rail lines going by. So there's always kind of a common denominator with a lot of these places. I know where you guys are at, you guys have that water source right behind you. And so just another location where it's like, okay, there's that correlating piece of information that seems to always have, a common denominator with a lot of these places that do have, real phenomena taking place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That, and the fact that we're made up of sandstone, that has all those just natural elements in it as well. And I know that you were finding some of that in your episodes as well. Going down into the caves, into the episodes where you went down into the caves, that was different and very telling, right? So
yeah, in season 4, what's cool too, Kevin actually goes, what do you say, Kevin, about a half a mile underground? Maybe more.
I went a ways until I couldn't go any further without getting all the equipment soaking wet. I just put my wetsuit on and just took off.
Kudos to you. I don't do tight spaces like that. No way.
We were lucky to have a geologist from Western Kentucky State University that actually was in the cave with us, and we were specifically looking at the possibility of the Kentucky anomaly, this higher level of the geomagnetic and gravitational anomaly possibly being a factor. And if we can, the deeper we go under Earth, is that going to be something we can read or pick up with our instrumentation? And then Kevin, crazy guy he is, just went for it. I was like, man, the geologist even hung back. He was like, okay.
Well, here's the question: did the camera guy go?
Just me.
No.
Jeez, Kevin.
Wow.
Taking one for the team, buddy. That's awesome.
I don't know how it fit.
I can just see them tying a rope to Kevin and being like, tug when you want to come back.
Put this on my ankle and here I go.
We got a question here, and I'll just remind you all, if you all have a question for our guests tonight, please just put them in all caps here, like Bob did. He says, Brandon, do you ever see a rating for ghosts like storms have a rating?
That's possible. One thing that, Mustafa and I did with our book, Elements of a Haunting, we tried to do our best to develop some kind of classification system. And that was actually an idea that was given to us by Dr. Harry Clore, because he always said, if there's going to be science implemented into any of this, we need to understand what we're dealing with and classify it. Like he always mentioned, the analogy he uses is, you don't go to a zoo and say you saw a bunch of animals, right? You go to a zoo and you see, tigers and lions and etc. So we need to try and implement that as much as possible. And again, terminology is one thing, and how you want to determine the terminology is, something that is debatable. We can all talk about, but we wanted to go back and look at case studies going back to like the London Ghost Club and stuff from the 1800s, where you have these people that have been doing research so long before us. We wanted to implement some of that, but I definitely think that there could be a classification system of some kind, and I think it should be adapted into this field. And I think it's something that would help, especially if we want to take that step into a more credible study of some kind.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that in the locations that you visited so far, is there one particular type, like say Historic South County Jail or Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary, those are locations that had immense negativity, just by the nature of what they were. So do you think that has a different, would that have a different rating, if you will, than someplace like an old hotel or a residential house or something like that?
I would say so, yeah. And not only because of the historical context and the similarities between the history of those places, but also in the sense that the phenomena seems to be very similar. right? And obviously, we can generalize it as far as like, oh yeah, there's visual anomalies or audible anomalies, things like that. But it's the readings. And one thing we've noticed in a lot of these places that we've actually encountered what we believe to be genuine phenomena is drastic changes in barometric pressure. And what that is, I know you guys have encountered that there as well.
Yeah.
And
Yep, we have.
what that means, I don't know, but it definitely seems like when things are happening that we can't quite explain, there's always sharp increases or decreases in barometric pressure. So I think the more information and data we gather like that also coincides with the historical context is when we can start to really say, hey, look, this is class B or class C or however you want to, what terminology you want to use. But there's definitely a correlation, I would say, definitely between Scott County and Brushy. Similar stuff going on, very similar.
Do you ever go ahead?
Oh no,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, well, something, because we try to hit anniversaries and stuff and different significant events that's happening, and so we did a live stream here on Sheriff Richard Ellis's anniversary, his 99th anniversary of when he was murdered at the front door. And, we love the tripwire and the EDI plus box. So that's two of our go-tos whenever, just always in the room when we're investigating. And we did a dueling session of the tripwires, one at the front door and then one over by the drunk tanks where we get a lot of activity from him. And it was interesting because we were asking questions and some of the time we were almost doing it like, I would ask a question. If I didn't get anything, Chris would ask the same question. But there were times when we asked it on that live stream that they lit up simultaneously and there was
30 feet away.
Yeah. I mean, we couldn't hear each other talking other than just through the live stream. And I mean, we were far away. And then there would be other nights we couldn't replicate that.
I know Kevin talks about this a lot, and Kevin has some great ideas about utilizing anniversaries or different types of, benchmark times of the year, right, Kevin?
Yeah, like different times of year, like look at the solstices or times when the veil is supposed to be thinner. Look at your midsummer, your May's Eve, stuff like that, and just try things in different. I guess what you would call, some people would call sacred days of the calendar.
Yeah, we actually did live here at the jail during the solar eclipse and had some interesting experiences as well. So to your point, I do think that those really try to kind of bring out that different energy just because it is, that different type of shift, if you will. But I mean, to Miranda's point, we've never seen anything like this simultaneous answering on these tripwires. Again, we're 30 feet away. We've got 3 thick walls separating us. So it was interesting, an interesting phenomena to watch. But going back, Brandon, to what you said about categorizing that data, do you think that there could be a point where, say you set up a research location or a research database where you would invite paranormal teams to put in different data points? Like, for example, we're at the Scott County Jail on August 11th. These are the conditions and this happened. Would that be something that you would entertain, or do you think could be stood up for paranormal?
Absolutely. I that is exactly would be something I think would step the field forward in a huge way, is where you have this open source of information where teams can go in, independent researchers go in and give geotagging data. They give all of the environmental conditions surrounding it and also the open source information to where you could even cross correlate that data and type in, specifically the barometric pressure changes you had. And that can take you to a spreadsheet that shows you this happened also somewhere else in the country. But yeah, it would be phenomenal to have some kind of open source database like that. I think would only a great data collection tool, but also something that would really push this research to a whole nother level and hopefully get us closer to figure out what the heck's going on, what the hell's going on, right?
Now I'm going to take that question a step further. Do you think that there are enough people in the paranormal community that are really into that true research? I know most of the people that are paranormal investigators on our site and that are commenting right now, I know that all of them are in this for the history, as are you. But do you think that the community has kind of pushed so far into really glorifying these YouTubers and TikTokers that are just going in for that instant gratification? Do you think we can bring it back to a swing where it's based on research?
I do. And you know what I think would be a huge plus with something like this is it would make it interactive. So instead of getting the interaction by mimicking what you're seeing on certain platforms, you could now get instant gratification in the sense of you have this thing happen, you input it, and all of a sudden now you see others are experiencing the same thing. So maybe that could be a way to push it a little over the edge, but I would hope that people would get interested in something like that, and especially it would be a really great interactive element on top of the data collection. But yeah, there's definitely, over the past 10, 15 years, things have changed drastically from wanting to understand to already believing. And I think that's a dangerous way to tackle this.
Oh, we lost him.
Oh, we lost you there.
Oh, my back. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
But again, I don't know where I cut off, but just to say that, again, I think that, people, mimicking some of the things that have happened, I think that we could change the course, and I hope that people would want to do so. And hopefully, people can understand that going in believing something is not always the best thing to do, and to be as objective and unbiased as possible.
Well, and that kind of leads me to a discussion that Chris and I were having earlier this week, and I see a bunch of questions coming in. We'll get to the group questions here in just a second. Being in a location, with here and with rugby, we're here a lot every day, essentially, even when we're closed, we're here. And it's interesting to me getting to meet all the different teams that come in. And we've talked kind of about having a round table about this. A lot of the time, the activity, or at least the phenomena tends to be subtleties, or tends to be things that maybe someone who is out thrill seeking in the community, they may not see as actual evidence or interesting phenomena that happens. And so I always find it interesting when a team comes downstairs at the end of the night, and I ask them how their night was, and they're like, oh, it was so quiet. It was meh. And then they'll proceed to say, but, we heard a phantom key jingle, or we had these little things that I would essentially look at and say, that's awesome. Pretty incredible stuff. But it's subtle. It's not, we've had the big stuff. We've had the photos ripped off the wall. We've had shadow figures form on a live. We've had some, thermal images that have been incredible. But do you find, and I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to ask, because it's been an interesting conversation, because Chris has experienced it on hers as well, but that the paranormal community just doesn't look at those subtleties, that maybe the salacious claims and just all of that has kind of ruined true phenomena for our paranormal investigators?
Kevin?
Yeah, I think a lot of it too, try to put the best way to put that.
I probably didn't ask.
Well, yeah. So like somebody will come down and say to us, if we hear an EVP on an investigation, that's awesome. I'll do an entire video around one or two EVPs, right? And I think that we've had an amazing night. But unless you come to the historic Scott County Jail and you see a shadow figure, your hair is pulled, the door shuts, and Sally jumps to the ceiling, they don't think they have a good night. So they'll come down and say, we got a couple of EVPs, heard a couple of footsteps. And then they leave feeling dejected that they didn't have this flashbang wow experience. And it's a little, it's different than what we do.
Yeah.
One thing I've kind of learned in the past is there's been a lot of times where I've been to a place and I've been like that when I left, I don't feel like we got anything. It was so quiet. And then you get back and you start your evidence and you have stuff that is like, holy cow, I never had no idea. And it just kind of blew us away. So I think just because you think you have a quiet night doesn't mean you necessarily did. Little sounds and stuff like that. I know there's a misconception about always investigating at nighttime, which is not true during the day. Yeah. But nighttime, it is a lot more relaxed out. You have a lot less noise contamination. Mm-hmm. So I still like to look at the most logical thing and then kind of work process of elimination. Mm-hmm. Was that a key jingle, or did I hear something from outside? Is anybody outside? Mm-hmm. Was anybody walking down the street? Mm-hmm. But there have been several times where, we've thought we've left empty and got back to evidence review and found stuff that just kind of blew us away.
But does that lessen your experience? You know, did the
Yeah.
fact that you didn't see a shadow figure that night or something come off the wall lessen your experience as an investigator?
I don't think so, because a lot of times we go to the location for the location and not necessarily because it's supposed to be a haunted place. You know, if you go into, say a big place like Brushy or something like that, where you're spread out all over the place, you can go there and not get anything and still have a great time because just the history of the place, and it's just so
Yeah.
amazing to walk around and see so much.
Mhm.
That's a big place to try to cover in one night.
Right, oh, it is.
It is. Well, I mean, getting EMF spikes somewhere where there's, you've accounted for all of your, outside, contaminants and stuff. I mean, that's something that's really kind of interesting that makes you look further. But it seems as though some people, unless something is just crazily happening, they'll look at that and it's like, meh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
that's the unfortunate. I think that's the unfortunate side effect of paranormal media and
Yes.
the paranormal genre. And unfortunately, again, kudos to everyone that's done the shows. That's great. It's awesome. We all don't have to agree on everything. Opinions are more than welcome in this field. There's no right or wrong way to do it, obviously.
Correct.
But it was a very specific format that has existed for an incredibly long period of time in the paranormal. And unfortunately, it became gospel. And if those things didn't replicate themselves in what you see in a 42-minute TV show, in a paranormal flashlight tour, it's a disappointment. And that's unfortunately shouldn't be the case, because it should be the experience of itself, learning the history, being within the walls of this place that you're learning about. And unfortunately, it's kind of a bias because people are expecting to experience what they see on an episode of something from Travel Channel. And that's very unfortunate. And things have changed, luckily. And that's really, that content is not king anymore, which is, I think, a positive thing. And it's not taken away from the people that were on those shows or what they did on those shows, because very difficult thing to do. But was it the most positive thing for the paranormal? I wouldn't say so.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, we're in agreement with that. It's just, like I said, we've had these people come in. Oh, we want to see this. We want to see that. We want to see that. And then they put out a YouTube video. Oh, we didn't get anything. It was quiet for us. But we did get the CVP, and we did hear this door shut, and we did hear these footsteps, and this wire moved on our camera. Huh. So it's like,
that's just what blows my mind, I guess, is when they'll say it was quiet, but then, because you would expect, you take 200 pictures, and if you get one, maybe two, that is something that you may need to look further into to explain, you're really lucky. Or, it's not always when you do an investigation that you're going to have 500 experiences, just one or two things. Or
and not just that. I mean, just because the location is active and haunted doesn't mean it's going to happen all the time.
Correct.
Exactly.
It's just
a prime example of a location like that is Bobby Mackey's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They said that when we went there, they talk about how many people just come in and think that they're going to experience chairs flying against the wall and across the room, and that doesn't happen there.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. Oh, and like I said, same thing here. We actually had somebody put out a YouTube video, and the whole time he's like, "Oh, it's quiet, nothing happened, nothing happened." And then he ended it and said, "You need to come." And then he came back onto the screen. He's like, "I did this video before I went through everything. We captured 2 really good EVPs, so you need to go to the jail." I was like, oh my gosh. So, but let's get to some of these questions.
So we got some
here.
really good questions over here. So Leanne says, have you noticed more activity in colder weather, warmer weather, etc.?
I've caught stuff in both. I mean, we've got stuff at, say, when it's hot outside and you're sweating, and I've got stuff at Washoe Club when we walked down there with 6 inches of snow on the ground. I mean, yes, I don't really think the weather has. I think that affects more of the investigators than it does the spirits there.
Yeah, I agree on that one, because man, we were at Gilcrest in 104-degree weather and got some great stuff. But here, when it's snowing, to your point, we get some stuff here.
When we did our episode at that farmhouse, I think that's the coldest night we've had on the whole show.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
It was in the negatives. That was crazy. But yeah, no, definitely, I haven't noticed anything between the Fahrenheit temperature like that. But again, we go back always to talking about these barometric pressure changes, and that goes hand in hand with, we've been in investigative situations where there was like tornado watches going on and tornado warnings, and the activity was crazy. and that's
Yeah.
a huge pressure system that came
Mhm.
through.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know what it is about the pressure, the barometric pressure, but there's something there. But as far as, you know, temperature fluctuation, as far as, you know, the natural environment's concerned, I haven't noticed a pattern with that per se.
Okay. Daryl says, have y'all done any research or any more research on the lights that were behind the double doors at the Harriman Hospital?
Oh yeah.
That was pretty
Yeah,
wild.
actually, Ronnie sent Kevin a really interesting video from that same area. Kevin, talk about that a bit. I found that ridiculously fascinating.
Yeah, that was last week. He sent me a video where they were back there doing some work, and they were just on the other side of the double doors where the light emitted from, and the hallways kind of angle off, and they have a camera going down each hallway. Well, the motion sensor went off on one of the cameras, and if you zoom in on that camera, you can see a transparent, what looks like a transparent figure walking.
Nice.
Wow.
That is fantastic.
And what's unique about what we got on the EMCCD there, particularly, have you guys have been there before, right? You've been to Harriman?
We have, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that the area that's closed off, I don't know when you guys went, but they
It was
have that
closed.
one section that's locked off because they have some issues with renovations and mold and things like that. They're working on that now, but there are no exterior windows at all.
Mhm.
It's just hallway for as far as you can see. And the thing about the EMCCD and what makes that camera so interesting is that it is designed to pick up single photon events that are not seen by the human eye, mainly in medical research, digital imaging, scientific research. And that blue light that we caught in that blocked off portion of the hospital, we've never seen anything like that. We've tested every kind of light you can imagine on that camera, from lighting matches to LED flashlights to bulbs, everything. And we've never seen a blue hue to a light like that. Anytime we use onboard lights on the cameras or flashlights, it always picks up as red every single time, including open flame. So what was collected at Harriman is unlike anything we've ever seen. I mean, it's just incredible what that was. And still, we have no clue what it is. And I know Kevin picked up one specific detail not a lot of people have talked about on the front portion of the door.
Yeah, that round circle that's at the top between the two windows, because that's a solid door. And another thing that, you know, I noticed, I didn't notice it like when we show it full screen in the episode, but when the camera's looking down and Brandon's holding the monitor, you see a shadow cross right to left and then shoot down that hallway right before it blasts through that door.
Oh, wow.
And it's like
We'll have
the
to look at that.
door and then the light emits from the other side, almost like, I don't know, like a portal opening or something like that. But the circle at the top of the door, to me, it kind of reminds me of like that scene on Ghostbusters when they're upstairs in the hotel and you see Slimer go through the door and leave that residue on the backside.
Yeah.
Like whoever it was shot through that door and left that whatever kind of residue on our side of
That's
that door.
awesome.
And what's crazy about that is Malia and I literally were looking down at the monitor and seeing it, and then looking up, there's no
That's
visible
wild.
light. And obviously that can happen with infrared light, as we all know,
Mhm.
but this camera does not pick up infrared light like that. It will pick it up, but it's not blue. And
Like blue.
there was no infrared lights down there. They did have a motion detected like floodlight in there, which didn't go off, which we verified with Rhonda there. But I have no clue. But I will say, here's a little bit of behind the scenes on that didn't make it to the show. Talk about it a bit anyways, but Harry in the show was talking about trying to connect with his mother,
Yeah.
and just lost his mother not too long before that. And one bit of information people don't know about Dr. Clore's mother is she's one of the first female published science fiction authors.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And
Okay.
so, I mean, very big deal, historic stuff. And when she wrote that novel, she was actually pregnant with Harry.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
what's
cool.
interesting is he was literally down that exact same hallway asking for a sign from his mother. And this is just me. This is me going woo-woo. I don't care. But it seems to me like when I saw that, it looked very sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
did.
I maybe it's just confirmation bias or something like that with knowing Harry so long. But it's like you asked for a sign in this area, which we did not know about. We didn't know he did that.
Yeah.
And that something showed up. you know, and it makes you wonder if that was meant for him in some way. I don't know. It's fun to theorize though.
Yeah, no, and you're to your point. I think it is the one episode where he did get personal. You know, the other episodes he was very technical. Not, I don't want to say stoic, but very technical, very matter of fact. But that was the one episode where he did open up, and you could see more of a personal side of him, which I really appreciated. So to your point, I mean, I think, you know, because he is so brilliant and he has that mind, it's very possible that something could have projected itself for him to see.
Yeah, and specifically too, one thing that we found really interesting about Harriman that we've never really seen anywhere before was that because it closed down not that long ago, you have a lot of people that live in that community that have lost someone in that hospital that are going there to try and communicate with them.
Which is interesting.
And Harry made that connection. He was like, well, I'm going to try it. And maybe it's coincidence that it happened in the exact same area, but it's definitely something that I don't ignore, and something I think maybe made Harry think a little harder about than he normally does when in our investigation, I'd say.
Well, does anyone who? Oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
I was gonna say when he was down there, we had no idea he even left to go down there. That was just kind of a solo thing. We were all up on the 3rd floor, and he's just gone. We didn't know he was down there recording that whole session.
Until he came back
down there talking about how uncomfortable that hallway was, and just the feeling it had down there, and you know, afraid to look behind each door, walking down the hallway and stuff like that. I mean, it's a creepy area.
Oh yeah, no, it absolutely is. That's the one area that, you know, I didn't really particularly care for when I was there. So to see that phenomena happen was extremely interesting. And I love the fact that you went down. It's like, this door is locked. There's a chain on this door. Nobody can get in here. So really validating that there's no way anything physical could have been in there.
Yeah. Is there anybody that maybe someone who's associated with the EMCC camera that can explain the different colors of the light forms that show up on there, that maybe would have a theory as to why there would have been a blue light that showed up?
Everyone we've talked to so far can't figure it out, including Harry. Harry does not know what could generate that source. At first he was like, well, maybe it was a light from, I mean, you guys know how long those hallways are.
Yeah.
I mean, in that locked off portion of the hospital, there was like one of those dome mirror kind of, you know,
yeah.
I'm not sure what they're called, but it's like a dome mirror that I guess they use to monitor the hallways.
Going down the hall.
And he was trying to say maybe it was a light from I don't know how many hundreds of yards that bounced off that and then projected. But it was I don't think we agreed with him there, and he ended up changing his mind. But no one has been able to tell us what the color means per se. And one thing we have noticed with these single photon events that we've seen in certain haunted places, it's always either a green color, right, Kevin? A green, yellow, and sometimes blue, but we've never seen it like that. Not where it's just like engulfed an entire hallway and projected onto walls and things like that. It's usually flashes, or sometimes they'll have a tracer, or what, you know, sometimes you'll see like an infrared camera with slow shutter speeds. You know, you'll see a bug go by and it has that kind of tracer look to it. We'll see that on the EMCCD, but it's emitting its own light. So we don't know, but it's definitely something that barometric pressure, single photonic events are happening in places that are said to be haunted. What that means yet, I don't know, but it's happening.
It's awesome.
Yeah, we did at our, during our Waverly episode, we actually simultaneously documented a photon event with changes in barometric pressure, which also threw the magnetic compass off by 10 degrees on the data logger.
Wow.
Yeah, and again, that is what is so interesting about what you guys are doing is you're not only just saying, okay, this happened, it's this happened at the same time, this happened at the same time, this happened. So to be able to correlate those things is really, again, to Marina's point, refreshing, because it's something that you just don't see anymore, or have never seen on a paranormal show.
Yeah, and so James's question is kind of going to lead to a question that I have, but we'll go ahead and get to his, where he says the production value on your shows are phenomenal. Do you do your own production?
We do. Yeah, we do. And Kevin does a great job. Everyone on the crew does a great job. You know, we have a fantastic crew, but Kevin does an amazing job of finding who we bring on to operate camera and all that. But it's all our production, and it's something
everything's done in-house. I mean, me and Brandon Mustafa will sit down, we'll go through the locations and try to map it out. Brandon does all the editing as well as directing the episodes. And Mustafa does a lot of the writing for the interviews and stuff like that, kind of bullet pointing out kind of where the episodes are going to go. I mean, nothing, 0% scripted at all, nothing scripted, but we will kind of bullet point out different things we want to hit per episode based on kind of the history of it and stuff like that. And, you know, what we want to hit in these interviews and stuff like that. But everything is done in-house, which I think is kind of one of the things that kind of sets us apart is we all have such a passion for it. I think it really shows on screen.
It does.
And that was going to kind of lead to my question of, do you all sit and review all of your camera footage for like from static cameras and all of that?
Oh yeah. Kevin does all the control camera stuff, and Mustafa does all the audio stuff. But as you guys know, it's a mountain of hundreds of hours to go through. But nothing's left behind. Everything's reviewed.
Love it.
That's one thing, you know, with the show too, is like out of the 4 seasons, you don't see a lot of EVP. I think maybe out of 42 episodes we've done, we maybe have 10 EVPs, Kevin? Maybe?
Yeah.
It's because we're being honest. It's because we're being honest, you know. So, you know, you go to places. One EVP we got at your guys' place.
I'm sorry.
So one EVP we got at your guys' place.
Oh, great.
And we'll save that for Saturday.
Yes.
Nice.
Spoiler alert. We love it.
You know, it's just being honest. You know what I mean? And we want to present the genre in a way that is the way it actually happens, right? And we don't want to, like Kevin said, nothing scripted. We don't go in. We don't feed anyone with what to say. Oh, there's Sally right there.
Yeah, there she is. She's got to make herself known.
But it's very important for us to not only allow the history of the location to be told accurately, but the people that, you know, operate and work day in and day out in these places to tell and express that in their way. We don't want to come in and control a narrative in any way, shape, or form. It's not our story to tell. We want to be part of it and we want to share that, but it's not up to us to shape the narrative of a location in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I'll reach out to some places and they'll be like, well, can we see a script? I was like, no. There isn't one. Well, what do you mean? So you tell the story. It's not our story to tell. We interview you. You tell the story how you want the story to be told. It's not us. Yeah. There's no script, nothing.
Yeah. And, you know, again, another thing that I appreciate, to your point, that you guys all work well together as a team, but the crew that you have assembled, I know it's a little bit different from the jail to rugby. The crews were a little bit different, but every single one was professional. They knew their job. They knew what they needed to do. They came in. They were very respectful of the museum, of rugby, and just who you're surrounding yourself with is a testament to how hard you're working on this show as well.
Absolutely. You know, the incredible talent, people that just love what they do. And it, you know, for us, we always let them know that these are historical locations. These are places that very much need to remain intact. So when you go in, for instance, I know Kevin always has this meeting with them as well. Like, if we're using a stand, make sure you got tennis balls under that. We don't want to scuff anything up, nothing damaged. Be respectful, come in and make sure you love the history as much as the people that work and show off this history do. And they do such a great job. It's incredible. Such good people.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we swept some cobwebs from the jail. You know, can't be sure, but there weren't as many as we came in the next day.
We try to leave it. When we leave, we want it to look like we were never there.
Yeah, and it was just a great experience all the way around, both here and at rugby. You know, like I said, what you guys are doing is just awesome. We've loved watching the episodes. I think Saturdays will be our favorite, but but we've been really excited to see you guys progress with this.
No, thank you. And again, I think you guys are going to love the episode. Awesome place. I mean, incredible history. Kevin, particularly with his history and his former line of work, very much came into play during this.
Great.
And speaking of rugby, I'm going to tell you, I finished those episodes not too long ago, the 2-parter. I will say, I think it's the best episodes we've ever done.
Well, we're excited about that.
Nice.
I mean, it's just,
nice.
Rugby, there's a lot of times I lose my way in all this as far as what I believe and what I don't believe in the paranormal. I lose my way a lot. You know, I got involved because I had a brother pass away in 95 from cancer and a brother die in 04. And there's a lot of times I struggle with, why the hell am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Rugby changed that for me. in a
Oh,
big
wow.
way, in a big way. And I will
Wow.
never forget going back into that Brooks store and seeing something. I won't give away too much, but seeing something that literally is something you would read in a supernatural kind of thriller.
Mhm.
Things I never guessed in a million years. You couldn't write it any better. Like, you could not write fiction the way we experience rugby. And I'll never forget that place. No way.
Well, we'd love to have you back. You know, like I said, we'd love to do a meet and greet with you guys there. If you before you show the episode, we'd love to have some type of premiere there. If you guys are open for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So why don't you tell folks how, because I know there's a lot of people here in the chat room that have their own episodes that you guys have done at their locations. But in case someone doesn't know where they can watch Haunted Discoveries, go ahead and plug that.
Yeah, you can watch Haunted Discoveries on Haunt TV. You can watch it on Roku, Tubi, Sling Television, Vizio TV. There's a bunch of different outlets, but I found the easiest way to access it and see it 48 hours after airing, even on demand, is Sling Television.
Okay.
And the beautiful thing about this show is it's 100% free, no credit card, no sign-in required. You can watch it free. And Haunt TV is amazing, phenomenal network with amazing programming. And it's been so great to be able to actually share this with the world and actually have it available for free. Tough times. I know it's tough out there for a lot of people, so it's great that you can watch it free. And if you want to see it on demand, 48 hours after it airs on Sling.
All right, fantastic.
Nice.
So the episode with the historic Scott County Jail airs at 6:12 on Saturday, 6:12 Eastern time on Saturday, and then immediately following, you guys are going to have kind of like a round table to talk about the seasons, correct?
Yeah, it's actually a full episode that goes over our best data we've collected in the first 3 seasons, which is awesome. Really gets into a deeper dive into some of the things that happened in those particular moments. So I know Kevin loved it, and it was a fun thing to do. And we actually shot that at the Conrad Caldwell House in Louisville.
Oh, fun.
Oh, nice.
Very fun.
But that time flew by when we did that.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, this time has flown by when we've done this. I'm looked up and was like, my gosh, we're already at 8 o'clock. So, but you guys are, like I said, just great. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, to call you friends, to have you highlight our locations. We just can't thank you enough for everything that you're doing for us and for the paranormal community as a whole.
Well, thank you guys.
Yep. And thank you for everybody who's watched tonight, everybody who's commented. As Miranda said, some of them have been featured on Haunted Discoveries before, or they will be featured. So everybody watch out for those episodes. If you haven't caught up with the episodes that are out there, go back, watch what you can there on Sling. As Brandon said, it's free. And you won't be disappointed. It's just, it's a great series to watch.
Yeah. And especially watch this Saturday night.
Watch this Saturday.
We have back-to-back investigations all weekend long at Rugby and at the jail, but thankfully
we've got window.
Yeah, from when we close at 4 in the
7:30.
afternoon. Yep, from when we close at 4, we have until we have to be at Rugby at 8. I guess.
Yeah, so leave here at 7:30.
Yeah, so we'll be able to squeeze that in, and then otherwise we'd probably have a big party, big watch party ourselves. But yeah, I got to work it in between investigations. So, but I can't thank you guys enough, and you folks over there in the chat room. Thank you all so much for your questions, your comments, and for watching. And definitely check that out. And if you're looking for more paranormal content, I will be live at 9 p.m. Eastern on the Ghost Biker Explorations Facebook channel, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And I will have Paranormal Candy Thompson will be my guest tonight, talking about she's an author as well as a content creator, so she will be a guest on the show here later as well.
So, all right, everybody, thank you so much. Again, tune in at 6:12 on Saturday. Otherwise, we will see you here next week, same time, same place.
Next week.
See ya.
Thanks, everybody. Good
Thanks,
night.
guys. Good night.